The views expressed in the following podcast are intended for an adult audience or for children you've already given up on. They do not reflect the views of our employers, spouses, friends, colleagues, or old classmates. If you do allow your children to watch this podcast, please send us a video of their reaction. Your mileage may vary.
Welcome to Two and Change. The people are real, the drinking is real, and the opinions, unfortunately, are also real. On today's show, Mike brought in his pet ferret, Charlie. Josh, that's your line.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I guess you'll have to fix that in editing.
No, we can't. We're live, dude.
Yeah, but you can still edit it, right?
No, dude, you see the camera over there? We're live. There are people watching us right now.
Wait, what? We're live right now?
Yes, live.
You told me the camera was for research.
Well...
Hey, you didn't tell us this was going to be live. I wouldn't have said all those things about the Lithuanians if I didn't know it was going to be live.
I think
we're going to be able to edit that out.
And speaking of editing out, we should probably turn on everyone else's microphone.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Turn on your mic.
I was wondering why.
Turn on your mic.
There we go.
On top.
Jokes
Ladies and
on.
gentlemen,
It's
we're
live.
experiencing technical difficulties, and shall we go take two?
Take two. Welcome to Two and Change. The people are real, the drinking is real, and the opinions, unfortunately, are also real. On today's show, Mike brought in his pet ferret, Charlie. Josh, that's your line.
Oh, sorry. I
Man,
wasn't
this
paying
is
attention.
Like amateurish.
I guess you'll have to fix that. I guess you'll fix it in editing.
Well, we can't fix it in editing. We're live.
Oh, well, sorry. I wasn't paying attention. I guess you'll have to fix that in editing.
Dude, you see the camera over there? We're live. There are people watching us right now. Jesus.
Wait.
Everyone falls apart.
Wait a minute. We're live right now? Right now?
Yes, live.
Hey. Live. I wouldn't have said all those things about the Lithuanians if I didn't know this was going to be live. I thought you could edit that out.
Oh, I hadn't actually turned the microphones on then.
Whew. Good, because that could have been really embarrassing.
Yeah, but I do have a few questions about your frankly shocking views about what I'm sure are very clean and prosperous
I need another
people.
beer. Another beer.
I think you've already had like 8.
Speaking of numbers, by the way, Mike, that check you gave me for that variant you want, you're going to need add a couple zeros there if you really want Rand land.
That's
Oh,
not
for
gonna
the
happen.
love of... We're live, people. Can we please stick to the script?
I don't know. Can I just have another beer, please?
Well, you want to know another thing about Lithuanians, Mike?
Tim, you're just gonna have to start the show, man. This is falling apart.
Damn it.
I can't take the pressure.
I can't hear the intro music.
Okay, and it's off to you.
All right, welcome to And Change. I'm Josh, and I am drinking local today. I'm drinking a Forked River Capital Blonde Ale. It is on the mediocre scale. It is I'm going to give it a 7. It's
7 mediocres.
Yeah, it's good. Well, you know, it's fresh from the growler, new keg and
It
everything.
came in a keg that was like this big. It was huge. This massive
It's called a growler, Mike.
growler.
Just-
I'll be careful.
we gave you the janky microphone for a reason. You
I
kept
know.
screwing up yours.
It did, you know what? But it's blue, so that means that I win.
Yeah, that's what that means.
Exactly what that means. This is my name is Mike. I'm drinking, or I did finish drinking, some Bareface. It was a Canadian Scotch in honor of the fact that we're doing this live today, and it was really good, like on par with some of the Scotches that I enjoy. So
Yeah.
well picked there, Tim. I guess it was distilled in 3 different barrels, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and of course this is Tim. I'm also drinking a Bareface triple oaked Canadian whiskey. It's 3 oaks. So
I've never heard
that's
of this stuff. Where did you get this stuff?
LCBO. It's new. It's new.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a new. They age
really
it.
good.
They age
Yeah,
for
'cause
7
you guys
years.
seem to be really heavy drinkers, so I'm gonna.
Have you ever tried doing a show with these guys?
Yeah. This guy's all about the beer. I'm the Scotch aficionado, so that's the real thing for me.
Although I've had to try, yes. And Josh, introduce our friends.
Who are these people?
So we are lucky to be blessed with the presence of
They just wandered in.
newly elected councilor Lewis for Shawn Lewis.
Ward 2.
Why? I'm not
For
used to
Sean
this-
too.
Yeah, this
Sean
is bad.
too. For
Lewis
Ron.
Ward of Sean too.
Wow.
And I'm also drinking a Forked River Capital Blonde. This was one of the things that in fact, it was the first thing that our other guest, Councilor Squire from Ward 6, and I found consensus on.
That's absolutely
Took 3
beautiful.
seconds to decide on beer. Local blonde.
Awesome.
Well, since Sean stole my thunder here because I poorly introduced him, he went ahead and introduced our other guest, Councillor Phil Squire for
And
Ward 6 here in London.
Just let me say, I'm a counselor and
Actually, I have a whole
congratulations
beer
to
on
both.
you.
There.
I got here early.
Which, about that, like, you're going to drink him under the table. Is that the plan for this evening?
Well, Josh is driving me home, so
Nice.
And I brought growlers.
And my wife put out a spread.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
we're good.
She did, yeah.
She
and it
did.
looked really good, like cheese.
She's been a
crackers,
trooper.
and
It's
all
like
that.
I'm
That's
sitting
great.
here like trying to figure out this live shit, just trying to click and it doesn't work. And it's like, why does this, like, for a while our live feed looked like basically scrambled like 80s cable porn for a little while, but eventually I got that fixed. So
I know I made it sound like you were coming
wait
to
a
a
second on the
professional.
porn. Wait a second. I don't do porn, okay?
You don't do
No,
porn?
I do not do porn.
watches it, yes.
No.
Hey, let's not get into Tony Clement
Okay,
situation.
okay,
Let's
no
leave
Tony Clement out
to
of this,
federal
yes.
politics. And
We'll leave it.
All right.
So, what are we talking about today, Tim?
Well, first of all, I wanted to congratulate our counselors and counselor-elects. So we've been following your careers for, I don't know, like a short while.
About 6 months, maybe?
6 months, yes.
Yeah.
And
With great interest.
with great interest, and we have great expectations of both of you. So I figured we'd take a chance to ask you both, what was your favorite part of the whole election process?
The finish for me. I mean, it was great. I enjoyed it because you spend all this time at council and you hear a lot of negative stuff.
Yeah.
And then you go out and knock on doors and you meet a lot of nice people. It was great. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Except it's tiring. I mean, it's a long haul. You're walking around all summer in the heat and people are, sometimes happy to see you. Sometimes they're like, why are you at my door? But I enjoyed it. It was good.
I've done door-to-door sales. It might be a similar experience in that sense about the meeting people. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably a little bit like that. It's hard to persuade people to spend time with you at the door. That's what I found anyways in some areas. But it was great. It's great to get out and meet people who actually vote for you, support you, like what you're doing. It's nice.
yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
well, I'm going to agree with Phil, the finish, because I woke up, I don't know, it was 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning a couple nights ago, having this awful dream that somehow the city clerk had missed a little legal disclaimer at the bottom of the ballot and we had to run the campaign all over again.
I'm not doing it again.
That,
Against he who should not be named because apparently he is still so happy. Allegedly.
We,
Yes.
we say nothing explicit.
I know nothing. I say nothing.
I will say, though, that those summer canvases when it's 35 degrees and literally you're wearing an entire second skin of sweat.
Oh yeah.
Didn't really miss those after it was all over, but I love the conversations, like Phil, I love the conversations I had with people on the doorstep. That was the best part of the
Fantastic.
campaign.
Great.
And what's been really fun for me also is driving around the ward, and because I engaged with some home and school associations during the campaign, I went and talked to the parents, and the kids were there too. And now driving around and having the kids like waving at me and shouting as I drive, "Hey, Shawn Lewis! Yeah, we had your sign on our lawn," and that's been really fun too to see that the kids were actually paying a little bit of attention and
getting engaged.
absorbed
Wow,
some
that's
of what
really impressive.
I talked to them about. So I didn't think I'd be talking to 12 and 13-year-olds about what property taxes did, but sure enough, they were asking.
Yeah, and if you pardon me just 1 second, we're just having another technical.
Another one.
Is Hindenburg crashing or is OBS Studio crashing?
Everything's crashing.
It's all crashing.
Hindenburg.
It's Hindenburg,
Hindenburg?
which is very aptly named software.
That's okay. We'll catch.
Everybody on Facebook Live right now, you're getting stuff that's never going to make it into the episode, literally, because it's not recording right now.
Oh, that's okay.
That's fine.
Hey, there are people watching. I can see their screen.
Hey, people!
Hello, everyone.
Hey, my
sorry.
mom's watching.
Hi, Tim's mom.
But you know what? I felt a lot better talking to people who I represented than a lot of the people who every day say you're doing a crappy job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the worst part about being a counselor, and Shawn probably already knows this from working in the politics, is when you get up in the morning and the first email you get is, "You're an idiot.
Yeah.
Phil Squire, you're the worst counselor ever. You're an idiot." And that's a little jarring, right?
Tim gets that too, but I sent it to him.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, the vast majority of people who you meet out at the door are really nice. They're really nice.
Yeah.
They appreciate what you're doing. They understand, it's sort of hard work and you work really hard. And it's a great experience. But I'm not going to say having to get up on a Saturday morning in the middle of the summer and knocking on doors is easy. It's not. No. It's not easy. No.
Oh, I can imagine.
No, there are days you just you shake your head and you go, "Why am I doing this?"
You do.
Yeah. It's 35 degrees and it's 9:30 in the morning.
So
in July, I want to literally just stay inside where the central air is blasting away and have breakfast and a coffee and forget about it. But you can't. You've got to get out there. I mean,
you can't.
I don't know. I didn't do the final math, but I counted up the kilometers on my fitness tracker the week before Election Day, and I had crossed 612 kilometers since the beginning of the campaign.
That's
I'd
amazing.
completed 2 full laps of the ward and was on lap number 3. My legs are in the best shape they've been in my entire life.
Well, I wasn't going to say, but we did notice.
I've dropped 8 pounds. I can fit back in my size 32 jeans again. I can put the size
Maybe I should
33s
run
in the closet.
We should all run. This sounds like a good plan.
Yeah,
Let's all run for the same ward. We'll take turns, guys. It'll be fun.
It's the new Atkins. It's going to be great.
But it's a very rewarding experience. But on the other hand, it's absolutely exhausting. And it took me 2 weeks after the election to sort of get back to
Your previous weight.
feeling like feeling like a normal person again. It's a weird lifestyle because you go to work, and in my case, I go practice law, I go do my counselor's job, and then I canvass, and that was my whole life from the moment I started canvassing. There was nothing else really in my life except hitting the couch and falling asleep.
Wow.
Well, and I don't know if you had this as an incumbent, Phil, but when you got home from the canvassing, did you find you had, 10 or 12 or whatever emails that you had to answer to because people got your flyer while you were out canvassing?
Oh, yeah.
They missed you, and now they have a question for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So, question. Now, obviously, you are the chosen and the chosen
I am
ones.
the chosen.
The chosen ones.
I
yes.
am the chosen.
And looking at the results, and congratulations on those results, by the way, because I'm looking at them. It's obviously you guys had a message that really spoke to your respective constituents. What do you think in particular separated you from your opponent in the other party?
For me, it's my connection to my ward. It's where I've lived my whole life. I know every square inch of my ward. And no disrespect to my opponent, but he didn't live in the ward. So it's when you go to the door and people say, "Hi, Phil."
Yeah.
That makes a difference. They don't say, "Who are you?" They go, "Hi, Phil."
Yeah, that would make a difference.
That makes a big difference. They know who I am. And you have to have, I don't care who you are, you have to have that connection to the people you represent. And I think a lot of politicians, when they get into office, they start thinking, well, here's my idea. Here's what I want to do. Here's what I think. You can't lose sight of the people who elected you. And you know what? They're right most of the time. Amazingly.
Yeah.
Amazingly. So it's that connection. I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah, I actually would say, at least in part, it was the same thing for me. Having been involved in hockey for the last 5 years with kids sports and the community association, people knew who I was, and being on the radio and the TV program didn't hurt. They knew my face, they recognized me, but it was also the fact that I was asking them, "What do you need done in the neighborhood? What do you think the priorities are?" It wasn't just, "This is what I'm going to do." It was, "I think our focus needs to be on what you think we need to do in the neighborhoods. What is that?" And in some cases, following up with them right away, right? I mean, it's not rocket science. Anyone can go on the city's website and report a pothole. The fact that people aren't quite sure how to do that, I would just take the information and do it for them. And that was part of their, "Oh, yeah, we can do this as a neighborhood. This doesn't have to be like this." Opening their eyes to that reality that, hey, if you put somebody in the job who's going to do the job, we'll get these things tackled.
Yeah, Josh. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's a really neat thing about municipal politics specifically. It does have a personal touch to it that other levels of governmental politics just doesn't have. Provincial, I mean, the wards are so large, and federal, the wards or the ridings are so large that you don't know who. There's 100 ridings are 130,000 people. You can't know 130,000 people, and at least here in Canada, anyways, they're that large. They're much larger in the States. The numbers are ridiculous. So the person,
I'm sure Shawn got to know quite a few of the constituents in the London Fanshawe riding.
Yeah, fair enough, but 130,000 to know all of them is hard. And I think
Or one person calling 130,000 times.
That would have been
Yes.
Josh. He actually lives in my ward. And
hey, I finally got that light up. That's
Was he screaming about the bees?
Bees.
bees.
Yeah, that's a reference to a previous show. We'll throw a link. You people are smart. You'll figure it out. All right. So here's a question. Would you?
Hold up.
Okay.
You're asking all the questions.
All right, then ask a question.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
So you've been talking to people about what you want them to see done in the neighborhood. What is the biggest issue, and why is it infrastructure?
What is the biggest issue? Let me answer the question for you and tell me.
you're
why.
one of those people that makes statement. I need to make a question, and it's like a 12-minute
Exactly,
statement.
yeah,
Are
well,
you
You're
one
like
of
the
those?
guy in the professor's class, 70 years old, sitting there not asking a question.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is infrastructure.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it. See.
Oh, okay,
There it
okay,
is.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
in
based-
my ward, I was amazed. Everybody's BRT is a big issue. But I was amazed at how little people understand what BRT is, and that's a huge failure of the city.
So for the listeners, BRT is.
Oh, bus rapid transit.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm amazed how long staff has talked about it and how little people understand it. And I've gone to meeting after meeting, and what I really resent, and I'll say I resent it right now, is when people say, well, the public has a lot of misinformation and the public doesn't understand. Well, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
It really isn't their fault they don't understand it. It's the worst explained project I've ever seen. And until people understand it and are able to express an opinion based on facts, we're going to still have this issue. It's really difficult.
Yeah, I had a friend that I used to work with, and he's moved to Kitchener, but he was in London for a number of years, and he described the London transit system as neurological sodomy, and I thought it was the most incredible thing I'd ever heard.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was quite.
That's a very bold opinion.
It
of,
was a very
of
bold
transit.
opinion.
That's a bit of a mind fuck.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and speaking of, I mean, Mike, you like to procreate, so
I do like to procreate. Yes.
Even his vasectomy couldn't stop him.
Yeah. Took two of them. It's all right.
Took two of them.
You had 2 vasectomies?
Can confirm.
I had
hurts a lot
one and I
more.
hated it.
I hated them both, but you know what? The second one hurts more. I can confirm that. Yes.
Did they leave anything on the second time?
No. Well, they made absolutely certain that I would not need a third. Let's put it that way. Yeah. But yeah, no, I do love all 6 of my kids. They're all wonderful.
You have 6 kids?
I have 6. So
And he still has hair.
I know, right?
Well,
Yes,
the
we know
whole
what-
second vasectomy kind of plays into that
That's
story.
a part of it. Yeah. We basically
Otherwise, he'd be going, you have 5 kids?
Exactly right. Yeah. That's what we do love our youngest as well, but yes, we're very much done, and yes, we made sure, very, very, very sure that we're done. Yeah.
but to come back to infrastructure, like
Yeah.
you want the streets in front of your house to be safe, so
Yeah.
your kids aren't, you don't feel worried that they're going to be hit by a car playing in your front yard.
There you go. That's exactly it.
And that's why infrastructure matters. And I heard it in my ward all the time. Slow the traffic down. We need a crosswalk. We need traffic calming in front of the schools. It's the little neighborhood things that matter.
Roundabouts.
Actually, I have a couple spots where I want to pitch roundabouts.
Roundabouts.
Nice.
Yeah, I do too.
Roundabouts. Oh, those are yeah.
You ever see the YouTube videos of, like, I think it's in Windsor, people didn't realize there's a roundabout there, so like just up and over. It's awesome to watch.
There you go.
That's yeah.
Well, Windsor, if you think the staff have done a poor job of explaining BRT in London, you should see the mess they did in Windsor explaining roundabouts.
It's funny that I really think the communication piece is really important though, because for my day job, I work with communities across Canada and specifically in infrastructure, and the ability to communicate concepts around spending and infrastructure and stuff. Cities do a beyond terrible job of communicating this, like how it
But,
goes about
since
it.
I've been to City Hall, I always say to staff, and Shawn will probably say the same thing. Why don't you use counselors? Like, we're the best communicators to the people in our ward, and they're sort of like, no, we have a way of doing it, and we're going to get people in a room, and they're going to put dots on a wall, and I'm going, no. I know the people in my ward. Let me talk to them, and they don't really like it. Let me tell you, staff does a lot of communicating. I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. That doesn't work. Doesn't work.
No, you're right. I don't think you're wrong.
So how do you fix that?
Well, and
You
that's exactly,
use the
You
counselors.
use your counselors. You say, here's something that's going to be, we're going to have a meeting in our ward.
Yeah.
And we need you, counselor.
But
We
now,
need you.
I don't joke when I say this. I will get more out of being in the arena at Argyle tomorrow with a Tim Hortons in my hand, watching the kids play hockey and having conversations with the parents while we're there, than I will get from any public participation meeting that city staff ever organize.
Yeah.
Because the people at the arena tomorrow, it'll be unfiltered feedback.
Yeah.
And it'll also be this. Many times it'll be the people who don't show up to the public participation meetings because it's the same 12 people that show up to public participation meetings.
That's
So
exactly
we
what I was gonna
are,
say. How do you get them out to the public?
So I think that's a great point that we start wrapping our break on, but I just have a quick question before we do that.
Sure.
So we have to keep things a little light as well.
we do.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
Yeah, I'm going to take on the duck, the big duck.
The big duck.
The big duck.
Yeah, the horses are like that many horses that they could kick you like crazy. I'm
They're
gonna
not
take on
very
the duck.
big.
I know, but the accumulation.
Have you seen a full-size duck? Those things are not playing around, man.
No, I'm going to take on the duck.
You can take on the duck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been swarmed by a team of hockey kids. One target is easier than multiples.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the giant duck.
There it is.
Really? I thought you'd have enough of bills by now.
I'm going to take the giant duck and I'm going to saddle it and I'm going to float it down the Thames River and take out Springbank Dam with it.
You know, on that note, we're going to take a quick break here. So just about 2 minutes for our audience. We're just going to get a quick refill on drinks. We'll be right back. Cheers, folks.
Tim,
Yeah?
what porn video did you pull this music out of?
I deleted my browser history.
You didn't have to. You used my browser to find it, dude.
And I appreciate it.
My wife didn't, but as long as you're browsing, you might as well pause the porn video and check out our website at twoandchange.ca or follow us on Twitter and Facebook.
Have we registered 2andchange.xxx yet?
Shut up.
University, you're screwed.
And welcome back from the break here, folks.
Thought three was a lot.
oldest is
You
9,
double me.
and the youngest will be 2 in February.
no,
and
you
there's
can
no
never.
bills.
You're not going to be able to stop working.
Nope, never. Well, the plan is for me to make it rich in the stock market and become a multimillionaire. So that's.
He's doing all right.
Oh, yeah, that's my plan, too.
There you
Yeah, that's a ticket.
Well, you could take the Steve Hillier approach.
I was
man.
going to say, being a counselor, my plan is to buy a lot of lottery
yeah, I'm
tickets.
just gonna
and-
buy a lottery ticket. It's hard not to be jealous, right? The guy-
Actually, you know, I'll go on record saying this. I think that London councils, particularly, are criminally underpaid, and I'm not just saying that because you're here. Because I hear that, like, it's Jordan told me that it's paid as if it were a part-time job. It is not.
no,
Shouldn't
it's
be
not.
part-time.
What you guys are
No,
doing is not a part-time
well,
job.
You know, the issue, I mean, for me, I can't work just as a counselor.
No, but
Which I think's a shame. I mean, if think about, I'm trying to think of like any job with that kind of responsibility in the private sector that would have anything close to being part time. I can't think of any. It's like I don't know why. I've lived in London about 13 years now. I lived in BC for a bit. I lived in the US for a bit, and I find that in London, it's the largest small town I've ever lived in. Because
It always has been.
Yeah,
London,
everyone thinks London is 50,000 people. Everyone thinks
It's
everyone
St.
in
Thomas.
London
Sorry,
thinks
St.
it's the
Thomas.
size of. That's all right, St. Thomas. We ribbed them enough on the show.
Fair enough.
Hear that, St. Thomas?
yeah. St. Thomas people.
Yeah, St.
Says-
Thomas people.
Says the guy who lives in Strathroy. You know, population 12,000 people and 18,000 dogs. I'm not kidding. They're all over the place.
Well, that's still a bigger
4
population
stoplights.
than Wallaceburg, where I grew up. So,
Is Wallaceburg smaller than 12,000?
oh, good, you
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
jazz.
Oh, I had
Yeah.
no idea.
It's like 5 people plus the cows.
Oh,
Wow.
ow.
No, there's like 20.
20. It's small town rural Ontario.
No, I think
It's good.
actually that issue about full-time wages, I think that's going to come up this term.
Good,
I think it's
good.
going to have that nut's going to have to be cracked.
Do you expect any pushback from people? Because I think there's enough support out there.
No, I think what'll happen is I think there'll be a push to move the ward's size down a little bit and pay more. I think that'll happen. I really do.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Because you know it's a different kind of job. Like it's not a job where you have to sit in your office all day, but you have to work all day.
It's not
Literally.
just a job; it's an adventure.
Hey,
No, but I mean, literally, my phone and Sean will learn it. My phone starts dinging at about 9, and it doesn't
Wow.
stop till
8,
whenever.
9,
The day after the
you
election,
shut it
my
off.
first call came at, well, not counting CBC calling at an ungodly hour wanting to interview me. Yes,
They
those
do like
people really
5:30
work
in the
strange
morning.
hours.
It's
But
super
the first call came at 8:15, and yeah, I'm already.
Now
I'm
curious,
up at.
What was it about at 8:15?
It was me calling, asking for a recount on it. I said, "You're not safe, buddy." No, he's
Brutal.
right. It's a very all-consuming thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
I'm not sworn in yet, and I'm putting in a full 40-hour week already.
And let me tell you, it's
Wow.
the most rewarding job I've ever had by far.
Good.
It's
Well, that's
fantastic.
good to hear. Well, I'm glad you're having a great time. It's,
I love it. I love the job. I think it's great.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
It's a fantastic job.
Yeah.
How you liking the wine there? You're making an interesting face.
What is that? Is that like your wine tasting voice?
Yeah, this is my
Your face.
I can tell you with
Yeah.
a great degree of certainty.
What a pompous
So-
asshole.
You've met Mike.
Oh, I didn't know.
We have we have this thing we do on the show. It's everything has a score. We have an unofficial mediocre score because the joke is
On the beginning episode,
It's mediocre.
and then it's.
By the way, this is
something.
at least a 16 on the mediocre scale. This
Nice.
is a Mitch Marner of mediocrity. It's
nice,
that
nice,
good.
nice.
I like that beer.
I like the
really
tennis
It's a good beer.
reference.
It's one of my go-to beers.
so.
Oh, you don't like it?
What's that? No, I do. I'm drinking. Well, yeah. I'm
What was the
drinking-
snicker about that?
I was joking about his hockey joke. He said Mitch Marner. I was like, that's a very great tennis reference.
Mitch Marner's a good player.
So that's local beer there. So I mean that's it's a new local industry in this town. So guess where this question's gonna go?
Well, this
jobs,
is
jobs.
This is a
What do you
Ward
got?
3 beer, so
Yeah.
we do have to gerrymander the wards a little bit so we can get this into Ward 2.
There it is. Yep.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it is across the tracks.
So jobs, actually, if we're talking about jobs, elephant in the room, might lose the General Dynamics contract. Probably not. Probably not. I'm the guy who thinks that we should.
Maybe a bit of background there for our listeners out there.
So there's
For the
a
guns.
contract. General Dynamics is a weapons manufacturer. They work in London. There's a contract worth $15 billion with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia recently slaughtered and dismembered another person, but for some reason this one mattered because it was in the embassy or whatever. And as a result, there's some talk of us canceling that contract, which would put approximately 13,000 people in direct and indirect jobs out of work. Should we be canceling this contract for ethical reasons?
Well, that's more of a. I mean, it's
That's
a federal
not my
decision.
Yeah, that's
not my
really
decision.
out of our hands.
I
Would you
don't
like me to answer that question? I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either.
No.
If it does, do we have a backup plan? Because that's a lot of jobs.
For London?
Yeah.
Yeah, London, first of all, the one thing I've been told over and over again by people is we have a lot of committees doing a lot of talk, but they're not working together, getting down to business on how to create jobs.
Okay.
And I actually met with the mayor-elect, Ed Holder. He said that's his number one priority.
Good.
So I'm going to hold him to that. And he has to get those people together. I think as a counselor, the one thing I've noticed the last 4 years, I have zero input into job creation.
Really?
The LEDC comes once a year, makes a little presentation, says they're doing a tremendous job, and then they go away.
And no one knows exactly what they're doing.
No, they don't.
Not even-
I don't know
I-
Or
I-
how
who
the
knows?
money's being spent.
Not even
really.
the private sector. Like LEDC comes in and talks to us and gives their presentation.
LEDC is.
London Economic Development Corporation.
We have
But-
a lot of listeners outside
Quite
London.
honestly, I have far more confidence in the BIAs that we have in the city, the business improvement associations, the neighborhood level small business organizations in their job creation capability than I do in LEDC or
Let me
any
tell
other
you,
group.
just so you know, there is no report back to city council on job creation. Zero. None.
Wow.
Nada.
So that
and I
sounds
hope
like
that,
job number one
I
for
hope
Holder.
that will change. I hope
You
that,
just go on the StatsCan website and hit refresh. That's pretty much it. or-
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
There's no what happens is LEDC comes back once a year and says, "We're doing a tremendous job. Thank you very much. Have a nice year."
They should
By
get
the
a
way,
lot
can we
of
have
money
our
from-
funding?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Wow.
That
And
sounds
then I
like
get
a-
invited
Sweet
to the
gig.
Christmas party, which is at the convention center. And I walk through and there's all these people with name tags saying, "I work at LEDC." So,
And because they're full time, they probably make more than the counselors.
no, but I have a son.
Oh,
I have a
God.
22-year-old son who's trying to find a job. He's doing it all on his own.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, well, that's the reality. And there's another side. There's a flip side to this in London is attracting talent. There's companies. There's lots of companies out there that can't get the talent they need into the city, and there's
That's
not
true.
a lot of sources out there to be like to help them out. They're just scrambling. I work for a company has a lot of software involved, and getting software tech into the city is
That's part of
possible.
it. But we've also located, we've designed our industrial zoning around areas where people can't get to the jobs unless they have a car. And I heard it in my ward constantly. And in fact, there was a mom who's talking to me, same kind of situation as Jake's in. Her son, I think, is 23 or 24, living at home in the basement, had an interview, was offered the job, and then the person said, "Oh, I forgot to ask, you do have your own vehicle, right? Because there's no transit here." "Oh, you don't? I'm sorry, I can't offer you the
Now,
position."
London Transit, I'm on London Transit. We're pushing hard
Good.
to get access
Yes.
into those areas. We are pushing
Because that
hard.
was the problem when I first moved to London 13 years ago. Because I had to turn down a job because I could not get there. And it's sad that 13 years later, in the same area, there's still no bus service.
There's still a concept in London that the jobs are downtown.
Yes.
You know, the white collar banking and insurance industry jobs that London was known for when I got here 20 some years ago, more than I'll count right now.
You're old. It's fine.
I am old. I'm old enough to have a nephew who can drink with me legally now.
Nice.
We'll have to have him on the show sometime.
Sweet.
Yes.
What's he doing now? Call him up right now.
Nonetheless, we have to give these young people the opportunity to get to those jobs. And we've laid out the city right now where that opportunity isn't there because the banking and insurance jobs of 20, 30 years ago are gone.
They're gone.
Not to disagree with that, but TD, for example, is still the largest private sector employer in the city. So they're not gone.
But they're gone out of the core.
They're gone out of the core. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
They're moved out of the core. But I think, one of the things that happens at City Hall, I hope maybe Shawn will join me on this. We have committees coming out of our whatever.
Yeah.
We have committees for everything at City Hall, honest to goodness. And
We have committees to decide on what committees we have.
right.
Nice.
Like I was appointed
I'll
to
go on that
committees.
committee.
Listen, I was appointed to committees at City Hall that have never met.
Huh.
Why would you even have a committee that never meets?
Well,
That's-
hold on a
Because it has
second,
no
though.
purpose.
But I mean,
exploding?
not
My head is exploding. Like
not to be devil's advocate here, but I mean, if you guys are in charge of the city, can't you say, I don't know, why do we have this committee? Let's
because
scrap
it's
it.
very politically popular when these committees show up and attend at a council meeting to say we want you to tell us what you're doing, and if we create a committee, it'll help solve a problem. But it doesn't. It doesn't. And I meet with people all the time, and I say, if you want another committee, I'm not in for that. I want to know where the solution is. What problem are you identifying, and how are we going to solve it?
Like no such thing as a committee that doesn't have a mandate and perhaps an expiry
They all
date.
have mandates.
Sure.
They all have mandates.
But like a mandate that's like concrete instead of
They
a
aren't
mandate.
concrete. None of them are concrete.
So have a committee, but any committee that's created has to have a mandate and an expiry date. Is basically
yes,
what you're
get
saying.
rid of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And an oversight committee, and then a committee who approves the oversight committee.
there, exactly.
There we go.
Yeah, that's yeah. So yes, my head is exploding.
So it's very exploding.
Small government, get as much of the taxpayer waste out of it as possible. That's me. I'm
No,
that
but
guy.
counselors have limited time.
Yeah.
So pointing me to another committee doesn't help. And
No, it
don't
doesn't.
say you're going to form a committee that's going to solve a huge problem.
Could you not do more consulting with the associations that Shawn
Well,
said
That's
was
what
doing
I
a
do.
better job?
That's what I do. And I think Shawn is plugged in to his community, and he's going to come to us and say, well, here's what the people in my community say, and they know what's going on in their community.
See,
Yeah.
I like
Instead of
everything about
another committee, I'm actually having a what I'm calling, for lack of a better term, a neighborhood council. So every couple months,
The People's
people
Council.
from the People's
A
Council.
Soviet, if you will.
Every couple months,
Is Shawn a
we're getting
communist?
together for
Maybe.
Are
he
you
must
a
be.
communist?
He worked for the NDP for a
social
long time.
democrat.
All right.
Social
Oh,
democrat.
that's such a relief.
He's a social democrat
Such
who
a relief.
believes that excessive government bureaucracy is a bad thing. This is so wild.
See,
Shawn
the NDP has always believed that.
Shawn is not.
The
Shawn
NDP.
is- I can work
the difference
with
is the
Shawn. I
NDP's
can work with
honest,
Shawn.
saying this is going to cost you money.
Phil's an orange Tory,
Oh,
and I'm a
that's
blue
rare
New
breed.
Democrat.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
there's a lot of. There's actually those are very close.
Yeah,
Wow.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's me who just thinks that, gay people should be allowed to protect their marijuana plants with guns. That's me. And
Wow, that's 2 issues at once.
That's 3 actually. But
Yeah.
that's,
Yes, that's right.
I'm basically the one that says, should the government XYZ? No, just let the private sector handle it. And if these private associations, have got a better handle on what's going on, can deliver a better solution, and all they need from you is the regulatory check mark, absolutely, why not? And that sounds like you could replace 85-90% of these committees with exactly that thing.
The challenge for me is that a municipal government only can do so many things, right?
Right.
And I think our municipal government, in my experience since I've been there, we tend to create committees that have nothing to do with our mandate.
Well, and
Nothing to do with what a municipal government should do.
Well,
and one of the things with the poverty panel that the last council had, and it was a big criticism that I made publicly, and Phil, I know you took some of the things that you could actually do and did it, but we had a poverty panel that came back and said we're going to end poverty in a generation, and what they have 3,600 recommendations or whatever, about 18 of which were actually municipal jurisdiction.
Right.
And all the rest we're going to go cap in hand to the federal and provincial governments and beg and plead with them to please do this.
Oh, wow.
That's a waste of
The
everyone's
city
time.
staff's not already begging and pleading for money.
Focusing on those 18 things we can actually do, like the free transit for students or for kids under 12. That was an easy way to help low-income families
it was easy.
access transit. That was something council could do. Things like basic income and raising CPP contributions, that's not something the city can do.
Nothing to
Let's
do
have a London provincial plan, London pension plan. There we go.
My head's exploding right
The
now.
administrative cost of that alone would cost what the pension fund
The
costs.
socialist knows that the administrative costs would balloon out of control for
But
that.
if you're on a campaign,
We'll just raise taxes. We're fine.
one of the amazing things about a campaign is I know I was running against a very nice person, but sometimes they say things and you go, like, that'll never happen.
Yeah.
Like you're telling people you're going to give them something that you can never give them.
Yeah.
Just
Why
promise,
tell them that?
Well, I was
promise them a free
running
car and
against
a
somebody
pony,
who
it's
was
fine.
It's practice for running for the Liberal government.
Ooh.
I'll second that. That's-
What?
I wasn't running against someone who was promising anything. I was running against somebody who had no campaign platform. But
He had signs.
that
He did have signs.
The flip side of that was when I was going to the doorsteps, like you were saying, Phil, I was upfront with people. What's your plan? What are you going to do for the city? And I said, look, I'm not here to promise you that. The sun and the moon and the stars. I'm here to talk to you about. You need speed bumps. You need your pothole fixed. You want your snow plowed better. Those are the kind of things.
I was going to ask you
You
about
did
this.
promise my son that you would take him to
Now,
hockey.
is snow
And he
removal
is
a big
in my
issue
Monday
for you?
schedule, so Ollie and I are going to hockey Monday night.
And I've heard snow removal is quite a big issue for you.
Yeah, it is.
Ooh, snow
It's
removal
famous.
is,
You're famous for this.
It is, yeah.
So now that you're in the almost in the captain's chair here, what do you think? What you gonna do?
Captain's chair. They haven't even let me on the bridge yet.
They're still
Have you
trying
been
to work.
allowed into the parking bunker?
No, they haven't.
Oh, well then. I'm not going to
No.
talk about that.
You're at least a red shirt at
They
this
haven't
point.
even given me clearance to dock the shuttle.
They've issued you your red shirt.
But I do want to, snow plowing.
There's too many Star Trek fans.
There's a basic service municipal governments are supposed to be providing and providing well.
Snow removal. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Why not?
Yeah.
And it's something where we shouldn't have to wait 3 days to have your crescent plowed.
I did notice that the last time that they had something that they called
Sorry,
snow.
that's what she said. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it had to come. It had to happen.
Had
at
to
least
happen.
once. There you go. Yeah. I
So
do
professional,
remember
right?
living in Strathroy with my beautifully plowed roads, hearing about people in London who are still stranded from the same snowstorm that Strathroy got pummeled with 3 days, 4 days later.
Yeah.
What? Why? How is that even possible?
We simply, the solution actually is not rocket science. We need to plow less snow more often.
Yeah.
We're waiting until it builds up. We sit in a snow belt. Our snow events are often 2, 3, 4 days in a row. We're not having a single snowfall of 3 centimeters and then nothing for 2 weeks. We're getting dumped on multiple days in a row.
Yeah.
To wait until there's 10 centimeters before we even deploy a plow, well, you got 10 centimeters, you got 9 centimeters on a Friday night overnight. So you haven't had enough to deploy the plow. And then you get 15 on Saturday.
Oh wow!
And then
So-
it takes twice as long to plow because you have 15 centimeters now.
And while you've done the main
24.
streets, you've got to go back and do the main streets again before you can get to the crescents and the cul-de-sacs. So those folks are often 48, 72 hours before they see a plow. By that time, you could have
People do
2 or 3
get-
feet of
they-
snow on the...
So when I'm in my house and 4 times during the night, my kids get woken up because a plow goes by 4 times in a single night because it's
You're
snowing.
lucky.
That's a good thing.
I wish
would
that happened for my.
Oh man, I wish I get woken up.
At 11:30, 2:30,
but I
4:30,
mean-
and 6:30 respectively, a plow rips
You should
by
have
my
gone for the
house.
vasectomy sooner.
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay. So we're starting.
That's not the government's responsibility to provide.
Government paid for it.
Yeah, twice apparently.
They did. Well, hang on. They only pay for. We're entitled under OHIP.
Don't you get a free one once you get the first?
You are entitled to a vasectomy once under OHIP.
I'm picturing this.
The doctor who did the first one said, "I'm going to appeal for special circumstances to do the second one." And
What's a
get it funded as
vasectomy
well."
cost? Like, what did you have to pay?
Well, and here's the thing. He said, and if they won't fund it,
Yeah.
I'll do the second one for you pro bono. I said, yes, you will. But apparently, it's about $4,500.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
to get a vasectomy done.
Good to know, because I kind of have something scheduled myself. So
Yeah, I'm not interested.
I can recommend getting it.
We're not doing
Let me just say,
we're
I'm
gonna
not
have
doing a live.
we're gonna have a live feed.
No, I'm
and
not
we're gonna
interested.
we're gonna have live commentary
I'm pretty certain that
right here on Facebook.
I think that breaks Facebook privacy laws.
The
and-
entire
and
conversation
stuff.
makes me happy
But
to
you
be
know
part
what?
of the LGBT
I got to tell you, the one good thing about Shawn that I like is, and I wish all counselors did this. I always say that, I've said this to Shawn. I said, I don't care if you disagree with me. I just want your opinion based on what your constituents say.
Sure.
Right now at City Council, there's a bit of a ideological thing going on that I don't think is
Helpful.
conducive to municipal politics.
See what he's
So
saying
on-
is that
on
Sean might have an opinion on that. But
Yeah, no, well,
mine
but
is
I
very
agree
much
with you.
like let's just figure out how we can get stuff done.
So, Josh, you had a final thought here because we
Yeah.
do have to start wrapping up
So-
here. Sorry
Already?
about
Yeah,
that.
so I think-
already.
It's
think-
news that Josh had a thought.
yeah,
actually.
I know,
know, right?
it's strange.
Well,
Let's see how good of a thought it is.
Did you almost spit your?
right.
It's rental equipment. I told you. This way. Is
This
okay.
way, not
This
the
way
floor,
is not
it'll
okay.
warp.
Do you have any idea how much it would hurt to spew whiskey out my nose?
I want to find out.
It can't be worse than a second
gotta be-
vasectomy.
No.
I guess it depends on the whiskey and depends on the doctor.
So to capitalize on what Phil was saying, not the vasectomy stuff.
Okay.
Councils should really act a lot more like our show does. We have a lot of diverse opinions between us, and we
Drown it all
we're
in whiskey.
very
we
we're,
drown it all out with whiskey.
so what? Yeah, that's it. Council should just drink. Yeah, that's
We
my
just
final
throw
thought.
things to the wall, see what
Hold up,
sticks,
hold
and
up. But
drown
no,
it out with whiskey.
You literally laugh, but there actually was a government in ancient Greece that functioned that way. They would have 2 debates on a subject. One of them would be drunk, and the other one would be sober. And then they would, based on both of those, they would actually make it.
Could you imagine what city council would
There was
be
a
like?
government in ancient. I'm trying to remember what city it was, but they would actually, they literally do. They would get hammered, and then they would debate something that way because you would be more honest.
Well,
And-
Toboggan Brewery is just across from City Hall. So
Nice.
We could just
So-
move council chambers.
So I think we need to record that meeting, and unfortunately, folks, we are out of time.
Wow.
Well, yeah, I know this went quick. Well, I know your respectability's gone down just slightly from having recorded with us here.
Yeah, this is something I don't
Phil's
think I
had.
can. I don't know if I can overcome this. Politically, I think this has been a bad decision.
Yeah, we're nothing but bad decisions here.
your
I want to
sacrifice
thank
is
our
appreciated.
Facebook audience here. So, cheers to both of you.
Nastrovia.
Right.
And if you're enjoying our show, make sure you check us out on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your show. Make sure you check out our website, toandchange.ca.
Where I made a very incoherent blog post.
You have normal coherent ones?
I think it was.
Your one on synesthesia was kind of cool.
That's pretty cool.
I appreciate it.
Well, anyway, for Two and Change, I'm Tim.
I'm Mike.
I'm Josh.
I'm Sean.
I'm Phil.
We'll see you next time. Well, no, the music's going. It's fine. We have a close wrap, so we'll just keep talking, and I just keep fading out the music.
Oh, that's not as fun. You put a lot of effort in it.
I put a lot of effort into this. I bought that camera.
I did.